the Township of Vernon for Monday, March 9th, 2015. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and to the press on January 4th, 2015, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, all in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please, and perhaps we can quiet them down a little bit?
Councilmember Kadish.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Wetzel. Council President Rizzuto.
Here. Would you please stand with me and join in a pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening we have one of those very happy events that frequently occurs here during the council meeting. We have some promotions and some new officers that are going to be sworn in, and we're going to be saying goodbye to some very old friends who are retiring. So, Chief, if you would please come forward and handle the meeting.
Thank you all for coming tonight. As he said, this is one of those nice occasions. A lot of you probably read in the paper, on Facebook or whatnot, that we recently had some retirements, and those led to some promotions, and those also led to some new hires. But we're going to start off tonight first by saying goodbye to some officers who have been here a long time. Corporal Ed Lozicki, come on up. Corporal Lozicki started with the Passaic County Sheriff's Department in 1990. In 1995, he was hired by the Vernon Township Police Department, and it was immediately assigned as a detective to the Sussex County Narcotics Task Force. Upon his return, he was assigned to the Patrol Division. He has a bachelor's degree. He has medals or accommodations for exceptional duty, life-saving, and education. He's always been active in the community throughout his career, and as he'll tell you himself, he's the busiest officer in Vernon Township. I will point out that retired Captain Moran put these shadow boxes together, and he did a phenomenal job. Detective Sergeant Sean Tall. Detective Sergeant Tall started with the department back in the late 80s. In 1990, he was hired by the New York City Police Department, and in 1993, he transferred to the Syracuse, New York Police Department. In 1994, he came to Vernon Township. Sean is a lifelong Vernon resident. In 2002, he was assigned to the Detective Bureau. He became an interrogation specialist, a computer crime specialist assigned to the Sussex County High-Tech Task Force, and he was a field training officer, someone who trains our new officers. In 2014, he was appointed as a supervisor of the Detective Bureau as a Detective Sergeant. He's won the MAD Award, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That goes to the officer who makes the most DWI arrests in a particular year, 4 times. In 2000, he was awarded the VFW Officer of the Year, and he was also awarded in 2014 an Exceptional Duty Medal. Congratulations. Captain Moran. In addition to the shadow boxes, he's done 1 or 2 other things throughout his career also. In 1986, he became a special police officer in Vernon Township. In 1987, he became a patrolman. In 1989, he was assigned to the Sussex County Narcotics Task Force. And upon his return in 1990, he worked as a patrolman. He was actually one of my original field training officers. In 1995, he was appointed to the Detective Bureau. In 2000, he was appointed as Detective Sergeant. In 2010, he was appointed as Lieutenant, and in 2014, he was appointed as a Captain. He was a member of the Police Honor Guard, the Police Dive Team. He was Vernon Township's first dare officer. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He was the instigator and started the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics that we've been participating in for as long as I can remember. He's active in the Morris County Pipes and Drums. He's a bagpiper himself. And he's received numerous medals throughout his career, life-saving. In 1989, he was the VFW Officer of the Year. In 1990, he won the MAD Award. In 1990, he also won an Outstanding Service Award for his work with the Sussex County Narcotics Task Force. In 91, he won another MAD Award. He's got an Exceptional Duty Medal, an Education Medal. In 2003, he was awarded as the Sussex County Detective of the Year. He's got 2 Exceptional Duty medals and an Honorable Service Medal. We'd like to congratulate Captain Moran. That's tough to do. These are guys I've been working with for most of my career. They're 3 valuable officers, and it's always tough to lose experience like that. But when people leave, it creates other opportunities. And that'll segue me into our promotions for the evening. We'll be making 4 promotions. We'll start at the top. Captain Brian Jernick. Brian Jernick started with the Nutley Police Department in 1990, and in 1995 he came to us here in Vernon. He was assigned for 3.5 years to the Sussex County Narcotics Task Force. That's a long time. In 1999, he was selected as Sussex County Detective of the Year. In 2000, he moved into the Detective Bureau and spent the next 10 years as a detective and a school resource officer. He was promoted to Detective Sergeant in 2010 and was promoted to Lieutenant in 2013. And the mayor will do the honors.
I'd be happy to. They will be sworn in. Would you like to hold the Bible? Somebody have to hold the Bible.
My wife and Uncle Bob.
Hey, Bobby.
No help is good. Where are we going now?
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm lucky to be here.
Brian, we're lucky. If you would be kind enough to repeat after me. I, Brian Jernick,
I, Brian Jernick,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
I do further solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
as captain of the Vernon Township Police
of the
Department
Vernon Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's good at that. She's done it before.
She's done it before too. He's been here every time.
Okay, next up, Lieutenant Keith Pinkowski. Keith Pinkowski is also a lifelong Vernon resident. He served in the U.S. Army from 1989 to 1992. And you were Desert Shield, right? Desert Storm. He has an associate's degree in criminal justice. He started with the Vernon Police Department in 1995. He worked patrol until 2003. In 2003, he became a juvenile officer and was the K-8 school resource officer. He served as a DARE officer. He then served as the high school resource officer and a detective between 2010 and 2011. And in 2010, he was promoted to sergeant. And we're here tonight to promote him to the rank of lieutenant. Yay!
I, Keith Pinkowski,
I, Keith Pinkowski,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
I do further solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
as lieutenant
as lieutenant
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Sergeant Bill Mutz. Officer Mutz, Sergeant Mutz, started his career with the Sussex County Sheriff's Department. He came to the Vernon Township Police Department in 2003. He's always been active in our community. He's had assignments as a school resource officer, and he's been involved with several fundraising. Over the past 8 years, he's helped raise well over $10,000 for people in our community. As he wrote here in his own words, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the original.
I'm ready.
I, William Mutz,
I, William Mutz,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
I do
further
solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
as Sergeant
as Sergeant
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
of the Vernon Township,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Sergeant Charles Reed. Prior to coming to Vernon Township, Charles served in the United States Marine Corps during the Gulf War. In 2003, he became Vernon Township Officer of the Year. Charlie has won the MAD Award multiple times. He serves as one of our firearms instructors. He's a field training officer. Again, they train the new officers when they get here. And on a side note, he plans on starting our aviation unit. He's a licensed pilot. So there'll be a helicopter. He's won multiple awards, honorable service awards, life-saving awards, and meritorious service awards. So congratulations, Sergeant Reed.
Repeat after me. I, Charles Reed,
I, Charles Reed,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
and the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
I do further solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
as Sergeant
as Sergeant
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
And the final segment this evening, we also have some new officers. Just so everybody understands how we do it in Vernon is, when we hire a new officer, they get sworn in a private ceremony in the mayor's office where it's really just them, us, not even their family. And we wanted to do that because we do lose people in the police academy, and then it becomes more embarrassing for everybody, the officer who didn't make it through. So what we do now is we wait for them to get out of the academy. We know that they made it through. And in all fairness, the Officer Pindyke and Officer Kraus would have been sworn in probably well over a month ago, but each meeting that they were scheduled for kept getting snowed out. So we're here tonight. We have two new officers to be sworn in. There's not a whole lot of biography about them. I know Adam Kraus is a lifelong Vernon resident. He can come on up first. He serves in the Army National Guard.
If you would repeat after me, Adam. I, Adam Kraus,
I, Adam Kraus,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
I do further solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
as an officer
as an officer
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Adam.
Okay, Brad Pindyke. Brad Pindyke comes to us courtesy of the United States Marine Corps. He was hired at the same time as Mr. Kraus, and they both attended, I should have said, the Morris County Police Academy, which they completed approximately a month and a half to 2 months ago. So we're here tonight. You want to bring some family members up?
Yeah, my wife and my one daughter.
I, Bradley Pindyke,
I, Bradley Pindyke,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
I do further solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
as an officer
as an officer
of the Vernon Township Police Department
of the Vernon Township Police Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Mayor, council, I want to thank you for this opportunity. This was a wonderful thing, and keeps our department moving in the right direction. Good night.
Thank you, Chief. On behalf of the council and the people of Vernon, I'd like to express our best wishes to our retirees. You go with our congratulations and good wishes as you begin a new phase in your life. Certainly, the township has been well served by your service and your commitment to law and order in the community and to keeping us safe. We want to thank you very much. Congratulations. And to our newly promoted officers, our best wishes and good luck as you assume new responsibilities. I'm sure you'll do just as great a job there as you've done in the past. And if there's anything that I know that the mayor likes to do, he likes to stay on top of things with you. So if you have any concerns, you can express them to your chief, and I'm sure he'll bring them over to the mayor. And to our new patrolman, good luck. Hope to see you around, but not too closely. And see, we have a rather large crowd, so I'm going to ask the council to have a 5-minute recess while the families begin to assemble or disassemble. And if I may, have a motion?
Motion?
Motion is made by Mr. Lynch, second. Seconded by Mrs. Murphy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting is recessed for 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you'll agree it was a great occasion, and everyone involved did a wonderful job. I'd like to have a motion to open the floor for public comments.
Motion.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, need a motion to go back into to the
All right,
meeting. May I have a motion to
Motion.
reopen the meeting from recess?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch, second. Seconded by Mr. Wetzel. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now we'll have a motion to go for public comments.
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch,
Motion. Second.
second by Mrs. Murphy. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Anybody has any comments, please come to the podium. Give us your name and the area of town that you reside.
talk about the animal shelter. But first, very briefly, I want to thank whatever entity is responsible for keeping the portable toilet at the parking lot of Veterans Memorial Field throughout the winter. In past years, it was removed for the winter. And as a local bus driver, school bus driver, I make good use of it. It's, difficult without it. Okay, so I want to thank whoever kept it there. Right, the animal shelter. I last month tried to adopt a cat, and unfortunately unsuccessfully. And this is not a complaint about the shelter nor about the personnel. Personnel were very nice, Tom and Bonnie, who helped me, and the shelter itself is clean, well kept. The cat area is bright, and the animals appear to be well cared for. Problem was in the process. The fee of only $10, great bargain. Okay, so I thought. I was told at the shelter that I can get the cat spayed through a special government program, subsidy program for $20. So I figured, for $30, I'll adopt a cat. Well, I took the cat home. Didn't work quite that way. When I called the vet, or one of the vets who does the subsidy spaying, I was told I had to wait till July because the government subsidy was not available until then. Okay. I then contacted the West Milford shelter, where they sell discount spay and neuter certificates. I bought a spay certificate for $100. Right, so that's already costing me more money. Brought the cat to the vet, one of the vets they recommend, who does, the discount spaying for them. That vet wouldn't take the cat in because the cat I adopted here in Vernon didn't have a distemper shot. All it had was rabies shot. And the reason I'm here is to ask you to give more funding to the animal shelter. And also, I'm told the $10 fee, adoption fee, is by ordinance. And in order to raise the fee, I would gladly pay more if the animal was, examined by a vet, if it had all its shots and spayed or neutered. Right? They're not able to charge more because the ordinance restricts it to $10. Bottom line, I ended up returning the cat to Vernon and adopting a cat at the West Milford shelter for $35, which I gladly paid. And the cat had all its shots, was examined by a vet, and was spayed, was neutered. And it worked out very well. I wish it could have worked out as well here in Vernon. So I'm just asking you to, if you can, give more funds to the shelter so they can get, the cats and the dogs examined by a vet, have all their shots, and hopefully spayed or neutered. I would have paid more than the $10 gladly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Seeing no other I'm sorry.
My name is Krista Gary. I live in Vernon. I was recently listening to one of the mayor's Vernon Vibes broadcasts, and I thought it was interesting that he devoted so much of his program to Sally Rinker. He mentioned something about Sally Rinker and her group as his adversaries. It's sad that he felt he had to tear apart Sally's speech, which I thought was truthful and justified. I thought the mayor gave her a lot of good publicity. I know this is not what he intended. It was meant to shine a bad reflection on her, but actually made her appear as a shining light to this community. To this, I can only say thank you for the good publicity for Sally Rinker. A mayor is supposed to be running his town objectively with the best interests of the community at heart. It's definitely in very bad taste to talk offensively about Sally Rinker or anyone else on the Vernon Vibes show. No one in town wants to hear this nonsense. Everyone expects more coming out of the mouth of the mayor. I believe a little more decorum with regard to others is in order for a person in your position of authority. This does not look good for the town of Vernon, and especially not for the mayor. I want people to know that I'm very proud of Sally Rinker and what she stands for. She's not letting herself be intimidated by someone who is constantly trying to make her appear as the villain, when all she's trying to do is to make sure that our town is being run properly, scrupulously, and with transparency. Everyone should be grateful to her for her unwavering commitment. No matter what the mayor throws her way, she will not back down. This is a free society, and no one should be intimidated by those who believe they wield the power. I, for one, will never let myself be bullied into acquiescence. I have found in my lifetime that those people who try to destroy others by gossip and false accusations are very insecure and have to put others down in the belief that they will boost their popularity. They don't realize that most people are too shrewd to be misled by these tactics. Regarding newspaper articles and comments made against Dan Kadish and Gene Murphy, these are ludicrous. They are doing just what they should be doing as members of the council. To follow everything and agree with everything that the mayor wants is not what we elected them for. They are doing their job the way it should be performed by questioning, and more questioning. They are not just there to parrot everything the mayor says and blindly follow him wherever he leads. They have good minds, and I'm so appreciative that they are using the talents that they so abundantly possess. A questioning mind is one that thinks and blazes a trail leading along the path of enlightenment. Anyone should be able to question those in authority, and those in control must be expedient in responding to these requests. I believe that we the people deserve and should demand that those in charge serve us with the utmost integrity and without prejudice and hatred against those who may disagree with them. We are the ones who ultimately rule this land, and we warrant that our voices be heard. Thank you very much.
Are there any other comments?
I want to just follow up to Bob's statement. There's a program in Middletown in the parking lot of the Pedco Mall, in which the organization's called TARA, T-A-R-A, I believe it is. And they come in like once a month with their van, and you drop your cat off in the morning to have it spayed. In the afternoon, you come at 4 o'clock, you come and pick it up. The last time I had my cat spayed, it was $20, but I think the fee has gone up to $38. But it's a very good program and a very good association. You should look up that on your computer.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Seeing no other comments, I'll ask for a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Kadish. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Mayor, will you have your report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me. The first thing that I'd like to do under my mayor's report is to recognize one of Vernon's finest young people. Unfortunately, this young lady had to return to college this evening, but her mom is with us tonight, Mrs. Barukian, and I'd like to read this mayoral proclamation honoring Lori Barukian into the record. Whereas the Girl Scouts of America, through continuous programs and troop meetings for girls of all ages, provides members with a bridge to the future by developing good citizenship, teaching important skills, encouraging career exploration, and increasing world understanding. And whereas Lori Baruchian, a 2014 Vernon Township graduate, is a member of the Girl Scouts of Northern New Jersey Troop 70895 and has traveled to various places in the United States, earning her museum, sailing, traveler, and the Girl Scout Journey badge, as well as many, many others. And whereas Lori Baruchian, through hard work and dedication, has earned her Girl Scout Gold Award by dedicating over 100 hours of her Girl Scout Gold Leadership Project, in which she designed and created children's clothing and activity books geared to the hospitalized children facing illnesses, fears, and adversities. Whereas, with the help of younger troop members, Lori collected donations and supplies to distribute 100 gift bags of crayons, coloring books, and handmade cards to the Newton Memorial Hospital for young patients to reduce their fears when being hospitalized. And whereas nationwide, less than 6% of eligible Girl Scouts ever earn the Girl Scout Gold Award, the highest level in Girl Scouting, it is a tremendous accomplishment and one of which to be very proud. And whereas the Girl Scout Gold Award teaches young women leadership and organizational skills, sense of community and commitment, which establishes a strong foundation for a lifetime of active citizenship, now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Mayor Victor Murata, hereby extend my sincerest congratulations to Lori Baruchian for her commendable achievement in receiving the prestigious Girl Scout Gold Award as a member of the Girl Scouts of the Northern New Jersey Troop 70895. My hand set to this proclamation on the 9th day of March 2015. Mrs. Baruchian, would you please stand?
Appreciate that the township had, supports Girl Scouts. Sally was mayor when my older daughter got her gold award and gave her the proclamation. Thank you very much for Lori's. It's been a wonderful thing that Vernon has supported Girl Scouts in this town. Thank you all.
Thank you. We're very proud of your daughter and of your family.
Thank you.
The second item in my mayor's report, I'd like to call attention to the public and to the council that this year, while the League of Municipalities celebrates its 100th anniversary, the March edition of the New Jersey Municipalities, which is the magazine of the League of Municipalities, carries an article entitled "The Merit Award Program Jumpstarts Leadership," and there are copies of the article on the table in the front. It is an analysis and a conversation concerning the Merit Performance Award bonuses in Vernon Township. And so I would like to direct your attention to it. This is the second time in the last 4 years that Vernon has been the subject of a feature article in the New Jersey League of Municipalities. The first was, of course, our National Night Out, which was very unique, seen as very unique because that program rarely gets the kind of support that we got in rural communities. So I'm proud of our community. I'm proud that people outside of the community recognize that there are good things going on, and I ask the council and anyone who's interested to take a copy and read the article. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would I be presumptuous in stating that perhaps a little bird told me that because of your ability to do what you have done in this community, that you're going to be asked to preside over a class given by the New Jersey League of Municipalities at the conference in November?
That is correct.
Congratulations.
Taking part in a program that will deal with the concept of managing outside the box in public service and finding ways to motivate people to better performance. And I'm proud to represent us, and
I'm proud
I
to
look
see you
forward
go
to it.
there. It speaks well of the community to have this type of leadership.
Thank you.
Moving to our consent agenda. Resolution 15-56, a resolution for calculation for reserve for uncollected taxes. If the amount of taxes levied in 2014 were reduced as a result of tax appeals through the court or county board of taxation, the governing body may choose to use the amount of the reduction in order to calculate the tax rate for the reserve of uncollected taxes for the coming year. In 2014, the tax levy was reduced by $174,424. This resolution authorizes use of that figure in calculating the tax rate. Resolution 15-57, authorizing the mayor and the municipal clerk to sign a lease agreement with the County of Sussex for nutritional site premises for senior citizens. Presently, approximately 75 senior citizens each day receive hot lunches at the senior center here through a shared service agreement with the County of Sussex. This resolution allows for the continuation of that service and allows for the township to receive $22,700 for the year 2015 from the County of Sussex for use of that facility and the services provided. Resolution 15-58. It's a resolution authorizing refunding of a tax overpayment for Block 188.01, Lot 13, CO 0003. This resolution provides for a refund for tax overpayment as a result of a favorable tax award for 2011 for Charles and Carla Mattern. Resolution 15-59, it's a resolution authorizing refunding of a tax overpayment of various properties. Similar to the previous resolution, this resolution allows for the refund of tax overpayment for various properties in the township owed by Jacobus and Associates, LLC trustee, who also received a favorable tax court judgment for the year 2013. Resolution 15-60, transfer of resolution, fund balance transfer. During the first 3 months of the budget year, transfers may be made in the previous year's budget in order to reallocate funds. This resolution transfers funds from group insurance to road repair and maintenance. Resolution 15-61, resolution authorizing the cancellation of capital appropriation balances. As the township completes capital projects, there sometimes are funds dedicated to that project, to those projects that are not expended. This resolution cancels the balance in the accounts of those capital projects that have been completed, so the monies can be credited to the capital fund balance. Resolution 15-62, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal service agreement with the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority for the services of the Department of Public Works. The township provides services to the MUA for maintenance and upkeep, debris and grease removal, among other DPW functions. This resolution authorizes the mayor to sign an agreement to continue these services. Resolution 15-63, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal service agreement with the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority for administrative services. Similarly to the previous resolution, the township provides administrative services, including processing of mail, posting of deposits, among other administrative functions. This resolution authorizes the mayor to sign an agreement to continue these services. Resolution 15-64, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal service agreement with the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority for the services of a chief financial officer. Again, like the previous resolutions, the township provides CFO services, including preparing the budget, reconciling monthly bank accounts, among other CFO functions, to the MUA. This resolution authorizes the mayor to sign an agreement to continue these services. Resolution 15-65. It's a resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $8,285,871 bond anticipation notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. Bond anticipation notes are bands are due annually. Last year, in order to save the township money on the preparation of various bands for the sale of township consolidated several different bands into one note. In consolidating the bands, it makes their sale more attractive in the market, resulting in a lower interest rate. This resolution authorizes the rollover of bands in the amount of $8,285,871, which is comprised of various different ordinances from 2011 through 2014. It is important to note This is not new debt, but a rollover from previously authorized debt. Finally, Resolution 15-66, endorsing the submission of the 2014 Recycling Tonnage Grant application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. This resolution authorizes the township to submit a grant application based upon our tonnage allocation from last year to receive a recycling grant. May I have a motion to adopt Resolutions 56 through 1566, place them on the floor for consideration?
So move.
Moved by Mr. Kadesh,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Lynch.
I have a question on one of them.
Questions? Yes?
Resolution 1563, it's stated for administrative services. Is that the same that is in the tax collector's department? I was just, so if it's in the tax collector's department, is there a difference why it doesn't specifically state, neither in the budget or there in this draft, that it's tax collector, but under administrative? I just look, because the CFO falls under finance. The DPW, shared service falls under DPW. But yet, where it's in this draft budget under tax collector, it refers to it as being administrative.
Prior to this budget, the collection of the MUA was done in the finance office, and we had administrative personnel doing it.
Right.
And we had another, when the MUA office was in finance. So it just got moved over the past year into the tax office.
Okay, well, that's why, so I guess my question is, why doesn't it say that it's the tax office and not administrative?
Well, sometimes we also use, why it doesn't say it for, because it's not just tax services, it's also doing mail, doing mailings, postage. So there's administrative services, and then there's some collection services that are all.
All right, it just, like I said, it was just, everything was in the tax collector's line item, it was on their page. So that's why I just questioned why it's falling under a different category.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have it. On the last page of the contract for the senior center, it spells out that the county will retain $125 per month of the donations collected to cover a portion of the county's costs, but it doesn't explain where any overage would go. I would think you'd want to be specific in that contract to say that the township will retain the rest, or wherever it's supposed to be going. It's unclear.
What line are you on? I'm sorry.
It's the top of the page, last page.
The rest of the money goes to purchase the food. It's $2 per day per lunch
the
per
people,
person. But I don't know exactly what the cost is off the top of my head, but, and further, this particular contract is the one that has been between Vernon and the county now for many, many years, including pre this administration. The money's collected by people downstairs. $125 a month goes to help the county offset their cost involved. The rest is used by our kitchen downstairs for the.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is it just doesn't say that. We should have an
It doesn't-
extra sentence in there.
It says the donations are applied to the additional costs incurred beyond the $22,700 administrative costs outlined in this agreement for the program supplies, recreational activities, additional food costs, and equipment.
All right, well, I guess that spells it out. Vernon keeps it.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Any other questions? Now I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes. introduction of the first reading of a proposed ordinance, Ordinance 1504, calendar year 2015 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This is an action that governing bodies take every year. It's not only by us, but it's even done in school boards. It's done in other townships. We have our auditor here. Perhaps our auditor can explain in detail what it means, and that we are not spending more money, but what we're doing is protecting ourselves in the event that more additional funds are needed at a later date. Mr. Jones?
I was requested last year to prepare a simple, short letter, which ELCA has, I guess, distributed to the governing body. And it's just as Council President was saying, this does not authorize spending in any way. It just gives you the ability to authorize spending should you need it at some point during this year or in the next 2 years. It gives you the ability to increase your spending if you need it. There is no cost to the township to adopt this ordinance, and I suggest that all of my towns do so, because it really gives you the flexibility to adapt to any changes or circumstances that may occur that may be beyond your control. For any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
But if I may,
Sure.
Vernon Township has done this every year as we've introduced our budget, at least as long as I can remember. Is that not correct? Has it happened under your?
Yes, as long as we've been here, the township has passed this, as far
Are
as
you
I'm
aware of any time in which the township ever actually had to use this provision?
I'm not aware of it offhand, but probably in the early years of the appropriation cap, it probably was utilized. It was more necessary back then. Most towns, because they continue to adopt this COLA ordinance, they generally don't need it because they're continually adopting it year after year.
Have we used this provision in Vernon Township since 2011?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 15-04?
Motion.
The public hearing to be held on March 23rd, 2015. Motion is made by Mr. Lynch,
Second?
seconded by Mrs. Murphy. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1504 with the public hearing to be held March 23rd, 2015.
This evening, we have a public hearing on a second reading of an ordinance, Ordinance 1503. It's an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the sale of certain property owned by the township and not required for public purposes, more specifically unused water transmission mains. This ordinance pursuant to state statute allows for the auction of the water transmission lines. The public auction shall be on March 23rd, 2015, and the sale of the lines shall not be for less than $151,000, the township's cost to install the same. Mr. Corey Stoner is here this evening. If there are any questions, in order to have this motion placed for consideration, may I have a motion to place it on the floor?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wetzel. Are there any comments? Any questions
Well, Is
from the public, or
is Mr. Stoner going to just,
if you wish? Do you have any questions for Mr. Stoner?
I guess, give an overview of the purpose behind doing this?
Okay, this portion of the water main that's being offered up for auction is only a part of the system that was built during the Main Street project back in 2005, 2006. It consists of about I believe it's about 915 feet to the south of the intersection, starts about H&H Auto in that area, goes to the intersection, and then continues from the intersection back to Omega Drive. The purpose of this is to start to bring water into the town center area, more than what the existing system is. United Water has a very small lines that go into the general area of 94, and this will obtain, they'll be able to bring more water and supply some of the first businesses in the town center area, and also switch some existing businesses over to those lines as well. The lines consist of a 12-inch line along 94, and along Church Street, about 285 feet, I believe it is an 8-inch line. The price in there, the $151,000 auction price, is the actual cost of construction back in 2005, 2006. That's how those numbers were established, so the town can be compensated for exactly what the rate was when it was put in the ground.
That includes engineering costs. I understand that pipes were put in the ground because the ground was already open when the street was being built. So that's just the cost of the piping
That is actual
itself.
construction cost.
What about the engineering costs?
It does not include engineering costs. That is the actual construction costs that are in the ground. It doesn't take any, there's no depreciation in the lines or anything of that sort. It is just what was actually paid for.
What is the general plan for the town center? In other words, this appears to me to be piecemeal in terms of where we're going with the town center. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't even believe the municipal building is included in this
There's
operation.
a reason why it's being done in pieces, and it really has to do with the franchise area for the water provider in the area does not extend up Main Street and Church Street any further at this time. So at this point, the franchise areas does cover the area that was being sold, and then as soon as this section is done, I believe then we have to look at the extension into, by way of, to extend the water line for service, it's in the ground. But in order to extend it for service, you have to go to BPU, the Bureau of Public Utilities, and DEP have to approve it. And that is issues we've met with United Water many times on, and they're prepared to move to the next phase if they're so lucky to purchase the line.
What is the legal ramifications if another company other than the prevailing company wins the bid?
Well, there is no prevailing company.
There is no prevailing company, and anybody could bid.
Correct.
What's that?
Anybody can bid.
That's not my question. What are the legal ramifications if such a thing were to happen?
I don't think there's any legal ramifications. It would make sense that the utility company with the closest system would be a logical bidder, but the way auctions are required to happen under the statute, we have to make it available to all bidders. If another bidder comes along and is willing to spend that money, they would invariably have a plan, perhaps one that we don't know about. But the auction itself will be open to all bidders.
Another provider would have to likely provide another avenue of service when it comes to supply.
In other words, they have no place to connect it to.
Well, today this line does not connect anywhere.
Right.
And I don't mean that to be funny, that it's actually separated by other lines owned by United Water by about 35 feet. The way it's set up, it was never fully connected. We know the lines are good. United Water did take the liberty of going ahead and testing the lines back in December. We gave them the right to do that, to make sure the lines are all operational. They are, which was a start to where we are now, to make sure that the lines were serviceable and somebody could use them.
So if they were to win the bid, get the bid, they would, at their expense, add that 35 feet in and connect it?
That's correct.
And then they would run it through the service area where they service now, because they do go up Church Street. So and they
Yes,
do go up
this line
94
would
by
very
the
much-
church.
I'm sorry?
And they do go up 94 by the church, so that is in fact their area.
Yes, it is, but we don't have a line our line does not go up in front of the church and continuing down toward 94 yet, toward the intersection. If the developer for the CVS property is in a process of working out a agreement with United Water to extend the line in front of their property to bring their service into their facility.
So the sale of this is not necessary then?
If without the sale, they would not have anywhere to connect into.
They wouldn't have any supply.
They're coming off the R line at the intersection of 94 and Church.
But you just said that they were applying.
But they have a smaller pipe, is what he
They're
said.
extending the line from intersection of Church Street past the bank property, Island Bank.
So you'll have two lines in the street then?
No. Our line does not exist between Church Street and 94.
No, but United Water goes down to the Episcopal church.
It's a 2-inch line.
Oh, okay.
As I said, it was too
It's
small.
undersized. And the advantage of when they continue the line up past the church, what's going to happen is they're going to connect CVS hopefully on, as well as other businesses and the church.
And what about the hydrants going up Main Street?
The only the hydrants inside this area will be serviceable. That is all for now.
So this is primarily just this will only be able to connect a few businesses. This would not,
It's not the end.
it's not the end.
No.
This is not this has nothing to do with Phase 2.
No, this is phase one, just to get the process started, to bring water into a short way down Church Street, up 94, by CVS is going to construct that, and to start the development inside the Main Street development project.
And from what I understand, if the water park doesn't come, Phase 2 will not happen.
The water what?
The water park. If the water park doesn't come,
I don't think that they're not tied together.
No, this is Phase 1.
I know, but phase two is not tied together. So, phase two has to do with just the other facilities, the demand that's going to be up and down Church Street and Main Street.
Mhm.
The water park is separate. That ties into maybe possibly United Water's bigger picture of their demand in the area, but it does not, it's separate from our Main Street.
Okay, so maybe my question needs to, so if this would be bringing some water to a few businesses a little bit down Church Street and up 94,
Phase one. correct.
Phase 1. What would happen if there were, let's say the municipal building, how would that get, what would be the process to get the municipal building connected? At what point?
Well,
I guess I'm just, I know we were invited, the council was invited to one of the United Water meetings that I did attend.
Yep, I remember.
So a lot of this could have been alleviated had we been included or even asked if we wanted to attend, so then we could hear and we would know. But we were not included. So that's where that's why I've got questions.
So your question is?
So my question is, so how would water get to the rest of the town center?
Mr. Mayor, you got a comment?
That's
If I may, Chairman. Mrs. Murphy, the reason that the water line doesn't reach to the town center has to do with the fact that we are not in the already approved BPU area for United Water. The sale of the pipes as they're being recommended in this ordinance are those pipes that are within United Water's existing area for water service under the rights granted to them by the BPU. Further, Mr. Kadish, you asked a little bit earlier about what would happen if someone else bought it. Well, whoever bought it would have first to face the BPU and get permission from them to be able to provide water in those pipes, since they are in United Water's BPU district. I can't tell you where that would go, but I think that it probably would be a deterrent to any reasonable business operation. Thirdly, there is, under statute, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Urson, but a water utility cannot use its customer fees to expand into a new area of growth. And so, since the town center, with the water pipes that were laid during the construction of the sewer lines and the town center, have water lines in the United Water catchment area and outside of the United Water catchment area, we were forced to bifurcate and do it in 2 steps. This is the first step. And the driver in this first step was the approval by the Land Use Board for the CVS project on the corner of Route 94 and Main Street. It is my understanding, and I don't want to, I may not be 100% right about this, Corey, but an informal conversation with United Water back in January indicated that even with the expansion, the purchase of our water lines and the expansion, there will not initially be water in those fire hydrants because the lines leading to them have to have some upgrading done to them. The important part, of course, has to do with the sprinkler systems. The reason that the commercial enterprises are interested has more to do with the requirement of sprinklers in commercial buildings, at this point in time anyway, than the fire hydrants. Hopefully that answers your question.
Well, that's still, you've said a lot, but it still does not answer, how will the water still get there? Will the water still be coming through this same Phase 1? You know,
To what part?
to Main Street, to...
Eventually it will.
Right, so is Phase 2, Main Street is part of Phase 2?
Correct.
So nothing, no other areas would get water unless Phase 2 happened, which is...
Correct, which Phase 2 needs to have the franchise expanded, okay? To expand their franchise takes time. They have to go through DEP approvals, BPU approvals, and Highlands approval. It's going to take time.
And that's where they cannot use, that's where the bonding would come in? At one point, we were talking about in order to expand the franchise, that they couldn't use their money.
I'm not sure about that part. What I'm talking about, just supply and what's in the ground right now. Phase 1 can stand on its own.
Right.
Phase 2 can get, as soon as they extend their franchise area, they can just basically turn the knob on and fill the rest of the mains that are there. When you're talking about the bonding, I'm not sure. There was talk about the bonding maybe needed down the road for increasing their supply, wells, additional wells, things of that nature, depending on the demand. But that's Phase 2. That all has to be worked out.
Right, so I guess with this Phase 1, it will bring some water, but it's only going to bring a limited amount of water. In order for Phase 2 to come in, for there possibly to be more water, that's where the other wells would come in. That's where there was talk last year of potential bonding.
It's not 100% sure they need another well. It gets very complicated about the existing wells that they have and the upgrades that they're doing with their existing wells. They're doing some upgrades possibly to their existing wells that may not require additional well be installed, especially for the town center, which if you need full build out or for partial build out, it gets into phasing and stages, and it gets a little more complicated with that. But Phase 1 is just meant to stand on its own, start to bring water service into the area, provide us enough water to for development to start in the Main Street development, but also if anything was happening along Church Street, they can take a couple of these other facilities like the church, the bank, and a couple of these other ones, other existing commercial, not necessarily commercial, the church isn't commercial, but other properties, and tie them into the new lines. And this is a start.
The 55 age-restricted apartments that were going to be constructed, is there going to be water for them?
Back on Theta Drive. This brings it up to a mega drive. That doesn't obviously bring it back to there, but I believe it had enough service, enough supply, because that was another land use board approval. So we told them that they have that approval. We have the CVS property, and they put they made sure there is supply for the municipal building and a few other items, other properties to tie into. Now,
are you suggesting that there is no real long-range plan for water supply into the town center?
I didn't say that. It's just not.
You're not suggesting that?
I'm not saying there's no plan.
There
It's
is a
just
plan.
They haven't worked out all the details and got all the permits and approvals. And
So what is the timeline for getting an approved plan?
we don't have that yet.
I think that depends on demand.
No, it does not depend on the mayor, it depends on the BPU. There is a process that assuming United Water is the successful bidder, let's, for the sake of this conversation, assume that, although that's not guaranteed, as the councilor has told us. But once that happens, the next step for United Water is to begin the application process before the BPU to expand their water service area, and it is their intent to request that their area be expanded in the same places that there are sewer lines already laid in Vernon Township, Town Center. And once that happens, and while that is going on, and you tell me how long the BPU will take to give them their approval, I'll tell you when we'll be able to come back to the council and seek your approval for whatever is necessary to make Phase 2 start. There definitely is a plan, one that has been worked on now for well over 3 years. There have been many, many meetings in this room and negotiations that have gone on, and contract negotiations are not public meetings under our form of government. And so the fact of the matter is that the information and the exchange of that information and the negotiations that go on in that have evolved into a very, very clear and, I think, a viable pathway to bring central water to the town center in Vernon. And if I were pinned to how long will that take, as I've talked to the people who own property in the area, I have been very, very cautious to tell them that when dealing with state agencies for licenses and things of the sort, it's very tough to predict how long it's going to take. I can say this, though, on the part of Vernon Township, whatever is necessary in terms of planning, administration, contracts, and negotiation will be done expeditiously.
Corey, the transmission lines that are currently in this ordinance, when they were tested in December, they're all up to snuff?
Yes, I was very pleased that they were. Seeing that they were done in 2005, 2006, and I was pleasantly...
Water is a horrible thing on these pipes, especially.
What's that?
Water is a horrible...
They've sat dry for that many years and not knowing whether or not they would test out, but they did test out properly.
These stainless, I'm not stainless, I'm
Ductile.
sorry, clay.
Ductile. The only issues they did have, I think, was some of the valves, and actually United Water, in testing them, they had to replace a couple of valves, and they did that on their own. And they paid for their own testing, and they actually helped them a little bit because they have to certify the pipes were installed properly, and they happen to have the same engineering firm who inspected the pipes back in 2005, 2006, supervised the testing back in December.
Thank you.
Mr. President, just one last quick comment. Mr. Cadish, you asked about engineering costs. At the time that the town center was constructed and the sewer lines and the water were put in place, the engineer was an employee of Vernon Township. That work was done in-house by Mr. Lou Knipe, and so the cost was his salary, and whatever he needed by way of administrative costs, papers, maps, whatever, was provided by the township at that time, which, by the way, tends to be a little bit more economical than going to outside consultants.
We'll add if I could, Mayor, you said about the Phase 1, Phase 2. United Water representatives have stated that as soon as they put their energy into getting this first phase approved and done with, and they're ready to move forward with the Phase 2 as soon as we do the Phase 1.
Yes.
I know it's awkward, whether or not they're going to be the purchaser or not, but if they are the purchaser, they're ready to move forward with this Phase 2 applications that they need to do so.
Going back to what the mayor had to say, that they were not public meetings, like I said, the council was invited to the April 15th meeting, and I was the only one that showed up. And it was at that meeting that it was stated that United Water had another plan other than just bringing in or doing the Phase 2, because that's where a lot of the discussion took place. So I actually disagree. I mean, we're invited to one meeting and then not others, which, like I said, it just leaves a lot of questions unanswered and things, there's a lot of, because at that meeting, Mr. Urson was there, Corey, you were there, Bill Zuckerman was there, Elke was there, the mayor was there, representatives from United Water. So there were a lot of people present at that meeting, and a lot of information was exchanged. And that's just what we're looking for. That's what I'm looking for, is exchange of information. And I see there were a lot of people that are still here in this room, were privy to those meetings, except the people that are voting for it. And that's not your fault. It's no reflection on you. But like I said, it's not to say that things aren't, everything's fine, but you still get into, there was a lot of discussion back then about bonding, and
The only thing I just want to add to this, back in the early meetings, there was the discussion that the town center was phase 1 and water supply was phase 2. And so I just don't want to confuse that with the phase 1 and phase 2 here. The phase 1 and phase 2 are different areas of the town center. And that the phase 2 referring to water supply and bonding back then was a very separate discussion and much farther down the road, I would say.
And you made a comment, Gene, about the Mountain Creek, the water park. I know that United Water has had their own discussions about supply with Mountain Creek itself, but that is separate from the town center supply issues.
right, and I guess the whole idea is here with these water mains, and it's not really an issue of selling the water mains, because it's just, water we need to get water. But once that's done, how many of these lots, how many of these properties could actually be supplied with water? Obviously, not everything.
Well, that's actually incorrect, because by BPU law, once United Water services a franchise area, they're required to certify to the BPU that they are able to provide the needs to that area. Okay? Now, if a user comes along and needs an inordinate amount of water, they can negotiate directly with that landowner for any development costs needed to increase the supply. But for regular needs of the lots as they exist now, and with approved development, because that's been part of the discussion, they're actually required to commit that within the franchise area they can supply that water.
They can
For the phase 2 process, when the BPU.
That's exactly right.
So they got the water to supply and matches the demand. That was
Right.
an issue with the lines when they're put in originally. These lines were put in originally but never approved by the DEP. This process, and the reason it wasn't approved because they didn't show that they had to supply back then in 2005, 2006. So when I was going through the paper trail, that's where the paper trail stopped, where the permit for the water mains themselves was denied because they did not have shown the supply. Now we do know we have the supply inside United Water's franchise area. It's the expansion portion, which is shown as phase 2 on that map.
So United Water's franchise area, are you including all the vacant lots that are in there?
The United Water's franchise area is everything that's featured on here is phase 1. Is that correct, Corey?
Are you talking to the map that I supplied as a reference, United Water's map? Yes. In phase 1.
What map do you have? Is what we have?
No.
We have another one in here? This one, for
The other map's
information
not part of the
purposes?
ordinance. That is part of the discussion tool we've used in the meetings.
Yeah, on this map, it refers to it as phase A, immediate connections.
So Phase A immediate connections is this?
No, is,
Go with the blue lines, everything that's shown in blue. Yeah, this map is not, with the ordinance, so this is a discussion map that I supplied you. I was hoping it'd be a little bit easier for you to follow, but if you go up, it's shown in a solid blue line up to the intersection.
Right.
And actually a solid blue line, actually your version may not have a solid blue line, but it goes back from 94 to where Omega Drive is. It matches up the map that you have in front of you for the
Yeah, that
ordinance.
goes, the blue line goes up 94 and just a little bit across Church and Main, and then this doesn't show going up to
It
Main.
doesn't, because Once again, this was a working copy they showed in the meeting, and the copy I have, they actually wrote in hand,
Yeah.
showing it up to a mega drive, so the copy.
It's like I said, I see the key, but
Yeah. The part phase one is what's shown on the ordinance map. That's the portion that's being sold is for auction.
But for the purposes of tonight's ordinance, the pipe that is potentially being sold to the successful bidder is all within United Water's franchise area?
That's correct.
Right, but extending it any further is outside of their area, which is where they need to get approval.
BPU approval, correct?
Yeah, the portion that goes down Church Street to the municipal building, to the DPW garage, as well as.
And there's no telling when that could or could not happen.
Right now.
I think that question has been answered, yes,
Yeah.
and answered by the mayor. Are there any,
I don't think that was necessary, Mr. Rizzuto.
simply pointing out that it's a reiteration of what was said, because I would like to have the meeting open to the public and ask if there are any comments from the public.
Like I said, had we been invited to these meetings in the first place, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
I happen
Yes, we
to-
would.
We would have, because I think it's an exercise in due diligence for the public. However, many.
Just because
many
none
the
of you have any
questions-
questions,
Many of the questions that you have asked, we have asked, and I've received the information from the mayor. So, I mean,
good for you.
it's not good for me, it's just simply a question of.
It's good for Vernon.
Good for that, exactly.
Oh, now you found you've coined that phrase now. Come on. This is an open discussion to get information.
And I think you've received the information.
We have, and there's no
I just
reason,
wanted to open the
and
meeting
there's
to the
no
public.
reason for you to be confrontational.
I'm not
That's
being
all.
confrontational, I'm simply opening the meeting to the public. I don't know why you continually feel that every comment that I make is confrontational to you.
Because it
It's not.
is.
With all due respect, I've given you many occasions where first to comment, any additional comments, so I'm sorry if you feel that way. There being no comments from the public, I will ask for a meeting, a motion to close the meeting to the public.
I'll make it.
Motion made by Mr. Wetzel.
Wait. Sounds like something.
Yes, this meeting was open to the public. That was the vote.
Sorry.
I asked for public comment. Is there public comment on this?
Yes, I didn't hear you, it was open to the public, I thought it was just the engineer's report. Hi, Corey. Yeah, I wasn't even going to speak tonight, but I have a question. I certainly, and most of us probably have not enough information to even have a legitimate opinion on what's going on with these water lines. And Mr. Rizzuto, it is quite tiring constantly hearing you say, you've gotten your information from the mayor privately. This is a public ordinance on a public matter, a public asset that you want to decide to sell, and we need and deserve all the information that's available. How do we, the public, voice an opinion, or ask a question, or make a comment? When you've gotten all your secret information.
Excuse me,
before
there's
the-
no
before the-
secret.
Before the meeting.
There's no secret.
You've espoused that yourself.
No,
You
there's
get it
no
on the
secret.
side.
Having a conversation with the
No,
mayor.
you said you got your information
No,
from the
having
mayor.
a conversation with the
Which is
mayor
what
is
Ms.
not
Murphy
secret.
brought up. Thank you. So here's what I'd like to ask. How many running feet is this pipe? Brian, you thought it was a good idea to sell it. How many running feet is it? Can someone tell me that?
In total?
Total.
About 285.
You have
It's in the ordinance.
approximately 9 to 12.
I don't have the whole ordinance written out here, so go ahead, please.
Public comments or is this a question and answer period, Mr. President?
The intersection, 12-inch diameter pipe. And then there's an 8-inch section that travels approximately 285. If you're actually looking at the quantity,
Yeah, the linear footage.
it's actually 974 feet of 12-inch. That includes the intersection itself.
Okay.
12-inch, 285 feet of 8-inch supplemental pipe wiring.
That's the total.
Yes, it includes a couple valves and water,
Okay.
5 valves as well. That's directly from the construction documents.
Okay, which are not available to the public, which is why, thank you for giving me that information.
Can you add that up?
So here's my point. My point is, this is a town asset, so it's your responsibility, if it is a good idea to sell this, Why is the bid starting so low? We have some people in construction here in this room. $151,000? It matters not how little an engineer cost us 10 years ago. It matters not what it cost to do the job how many years ago. This is an asset that is value established today. The value is what it would cost to put it in today, gentlemen. Woman, but I know you understand that. The value is what it is today.
That's not correct. That's not correct at all.
John, if you had to install it today, would it be $151,000? No, I believe my point is correct.
No,
An
no.
asset is worth what it is worth today, not 10 years ago.
So first of all, this is an auction, okay? So that means that if it's worth more, people can come in and bid against each
No,
other.
no. It means it
Okay.
can go for $151,000.
Second, you are assuming today's construction cost. And the original discussions that we had, you could have very easily analyzed this a number of different ways, including applying significant depreciation to the pipes.
Depreciation for brand-new pipes never used that tested fine?
I think,
I think that would be far offset by the cost of a new install today, which is the value of that asset. And I stand on that point. That is the value of the asset. So it would be nice if Corey was able to do a cost estimate of what that infrastructure would cost today. And I maintain, if it's a good idea to sell, which I'm still not convinced, that's where the bid should start, on behalf of the Vernon taxpayers.
Are there any other comments? No, I'll ask for a motion to close the meeting to the public. Motion, I believe, is... Motion was made by Mr. Lynch, seconded by Mr. Wetzel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wetzel. There be no further comments or conversation or questions? I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Before I vote, I did just want to bring it to the attention of everyone, for the public, that I did speak to John Urson, again, the fact that I have my broker's license, salesperson's license, hanging at a local real estate office, and that is not, there's no conflict here with my broker. Is that not correct?
yeah, so first.
I
first
just,
of all,
let me throw it out there, because,
Well,
just so you...
Yeah, but it's not a simple concept to
Yeah,
throw
I-
out. First of all, conflicts are self-determinative.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can ask my advice anytime. I'll share it with you privately. If you ask me the question publicly, I'll answer publicly. But in the end, you make the decision as to whether or not you have a conflict, not me. Okay? So with the information that you gave me, which is that there is potentially along these water lines or in this general vicinity, that potentially a real estate broker in town who you work for could possibly have some sales. I indicated to you that I didn't see a direct conflict there because there was no particular benefit to any of those properties. If there was more information, there was a specific development, there was some other pending deal or something contingent upon getting water in that area, obviously I would have a different answer.
Right, and I also mentioned to you that one of the partners also is a partner in a building on Omega Drive currently, but that's already serviced by United Water. Omega, I think it's Omega.
Correct.
Beta or Omega.
Correct.
So, but just, anyway, just wanted to bring that up because I think we've seen enough of that going on in some of the papers. Okay, I'm done. Oh, yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt ordinance 1503.
Okay. Please note that the auction date for this, for the transmission pipes, as we've been discussing, is March 23rd, this year, 2015, at 7 o'clock here.
Does that match the 20-day ordinance?
So sometime thereafter, well after the ordinance becomes law.
Moving to item 11, the introduction of our 2015 municipal budget. Resolution 15-67. This is our municipal budget, and I would ask the mayor to please introduce the budget at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to start by recognizing this evening our department heads are here, and they are here of their own volition. It gives me the opportunity to publicly thank them for the work that they did starting back in the early fall of 2014 with our CFO, Elke Yetter, and Bill Zuckerman. You people had an opportunity to see our department heads face-to-face, ask them questions, and I would simply say to you how proud I am of their preparation, of their ability to speak to you and answer questions that you had for them. And I also am very proud of the job that's been done by our CFO and our business administrator in constructing the 2015 budget. Without further ado, I would simply like to thank the people who brought it together. I'd like to thank the council for the work that you put in the work sessions, reviewing the budgets and meeting with the departments, asking good questions. I'm happy to tell you that those things that you communicated to both Bill and Elke during those work sessions as to your wishes for things to be included in the budget have been accomplished, and the budget that we introduced tonight is for the 4th year in a row a budget that does not raise local municipal taxes for the people who live in Vernon. So that being the case, if I may introduce to you Mr. Bill Zuckerman, our business administrator. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to go from the draft budget which we presented to you to the budget which we're about to present, and just give you some of the changes that we've made. We listened to the department heads, and more importantly, we listened to the things that you suggested to us. Under general administration, we eliminated one of our floaters for $15,600. Under the mayor and council, we reduced the salary of the mayor to $36,000 in the budget. It doesn't say he'll get it, but in the budget, it's $36,000. At the suggestion of the council president, we reduced his salary by $1,000, and we set up 2 legal accounts under mayor and council, one for the mayor and one for the council. Under the administrative clerk, we put together a stipend for the registrar equaling $10,000. We reduced the outside tax appraiser by $5,000. We moved $1,000 into road markers at the suggestion of the council, and we reduced that $1,000 from the Environmental Commission. We changed some of the insurances around based on more current information. Pretty much they offset each other. Under the emergency service, we provided, as you suggested, $52,500 as a stipend for our volunteer services. Under DPW, we added $25,000 to overtime and $27,500 for salt. Under animal control, we took another $5,000 as we could from the trust to offset some of their increases in their expenses. Under debt service, we increased an additional $50,000 to pay down the bands, and we reduced our capital improvement fund by $30,000. All of the changes that we've made, we had to change our reserve for uncollected taxes, and that changed and went up by $1,337. After all the changes that we've made from our budget, a couple of increases in revenue, the change in the amount to be raised by taxes in the draft budget that you have to the budget you're going to get, it went up $47,737. What I'd like to do now, if you would indulge me, I'd like to ask our auditor a couple of questions just that have been kicking around, just so that we're all understanding some of the things that are going on. Mr. Jones, if you would, please.
Sure.
Mr. Jones, how long have you been the auditor for Vernon?
I think 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that. I'm not exactly sure. offhand.
In that time in your audits, have you seen any misappropriations of funds of any of the accounts of Vernon?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been denied any information from any department head saying, I'm not going to tell you that, or I'm not going to disclose any information to you?
No, not to my knowledge at all.
Mr. Jones, what would happen if we used debt service to pay operating expenses?
You wouldn't be allowed.
By who? I'm sorry.
I wouldn't allow it. My license would be at risk. The chief financial officer's license would be at risk, and your bond counsel's license to practice law would be at risk.
Have you ever seen, in your many years auditing, any misappropriations of trust funds?
No, not to my knowledge.
Any further questions?
Were the trust funds depleted?
No, not to my knowledge. I can't think of anything.
So the trust funds, were accessed for the purpose that they were intended?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you.
Sure.
That concludes my portion.
I'd like to introduce Elka Yetter, our CFO, who will take us through the high points of this budget.